Hey, Tim Unkert here. In this video, I want to take a look at just an initial install of Emacs and setting it up for a writing environment. And the reason why I'm doing this is if you've been following the channel, I'm doing this experiment where just this past Friday, it's Sunday now, I created basically a 90s style blog. So it's, the text is on the left of the screen. There's no styling on the text, anything like that. And just focusing on writing content and sharing it on a couple of my social media channels without doing any paid advertising, anything like that. I just want to see what kind of traffic I can get. So I hooked up Google Analytics to it. I did see that after 2 days, I have 7 visitors, one from Mexico. So hats off if you're watching this. And average engagement time was 4 minutes. So that's pretty good, I think. So I did a previous video where I talked about using Vim Markdown to create a post. And then I did another video where I talked about org mode, and I wrote this blog post about it. Check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. Today's video, I just wanted to go through the initial setup of Emacs, because if you've never used Emacs before, the first time you go to it and the first time you look at it, you might be thinking, wow, why would anyone use this? Because it looks kind of plain. I know in Windows it comes and it has like the terminal and the other one. This is on a Linux and a Chromebook. I'll show you what it looks like initially, and I'll show you with just a little bit of effort, you can make it look like very modern, very cool. And I just want to share what writers could do. If you're a writer out there, this might appeal to you, or someone just wanting to do their blog for a class, maybe high school teachers. I know some high school and middle school teachers follow the channel. Or if you're a coder and you want to do a simple blog, how you would set up Emacs to do that. And it can work for everyone, and don't let it intimidate you, because it's not as hard as you think. So what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to go through and I'm just going to go and I'll Google a few things as we go. This is how I would set it up if I didn't store my configuration on GitHub. What I would recommend is, once you are happy with your setup, is you back up your init.el file somewhere, and maybe back up your emacs.d folder. And I'll talk more about those in a moment, maybe on GitHub or something like that. A free place where you can back it up. And just in case you want to duplicate the Emacs config on another computer without going through. Although I think it's valuable to kind of go through the configuration. All right, I've talked enough. Let's get to installing Emacs. Now, in a Chromebook, and let me do this in the typical Chromebook terminal. When you turn on the Linux Debian environment, and the way you do that is you go to your settings here on your Chromebook. You're going to go to advanced, then go to developers. You don't have to be a developer to do this. Anyone can do this. And you'll see this button here that says turn on. I've already turned it on. And then it'll go ahead and install Linux Debian 10 if you're on the stable at the time of this video. And I'm on the beta, so it would install Debian 11. Okay. You'll get a terminal that looks like this. Once you do the install, the font may be slightly different. I've styled a little bit, but let's get this a little bit bigger. Let's just go to preferences here. Settings, and you can go and change the font size. I'm at 14. Let's go up to 20, and I'll just close that. So now the font's a little bit bigger, so you can see it. All right, so to install Emacs, first thing you'd want to do is check for updates. So sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. To run that, it's going to go through and check. And I've already done that, so there's nothing to do. You may be prompted to agree to do an update, but typically, you want to check, make sure it's updated. It still would install if you didn't do that, but all right. So I'm going to do sudo apt install and then just Emacs and run through. And now it's prompting me. It's going to take 181 megabytes to install Emacs. I'm going to say yes. And it's going to go through and install. This may take a moment or two, so I may pause the video. But we'll see it's installing all this stuff. And that's giving you the progress bar of how far it's going. It actually seems to be running somewhat quick. Well, as I said that, it paused. That's going to go run through and install. So let's actually just give it the time to install, and then you'll have an idea of how long it takes. I am running Screencastify to record this video in the background, so that actually does potentially slow it down slightly. As you're installing, you can get a sip of coffee. And it's paused. Come on. All right, there we go. We're going. So it does install fairly quickly. Okay, all right, so now it's installed. Let's just clear this out. And sometimes when you have to type a letter to get the T, in my case, the T anchored at Penguin, it'll be whatever your username is. So you can open it via the command prompt. But what I would recommend doing is you'll see that it's either here, you see Emacs Gui. I want to use the Emacs Gui because you can use it in the terminal as well, but I think there's an advantage. Sometimes it appears in the Linux apps. In my case, it didn't. But let's just click on the GUI here. It'll take a moment to open up, and I'm going to go and right-click and then pin it on my progress bar here. So when Emacs opens up, you're going to get, kind of this size with the help. It doesn't look bad, but it's like it's got the Emacs tutorial. It's got this message. It's got all these menu bars here and that kind of thing. I like more of a plain thing that I can write on. So the first thing I want to do is inhibit the startup message. So I'm going to search that startup message Emacs. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I meant that. So this person's unable to hide it. So let's see, it might be an answer. So, and then we see, we have to set this in our .emacs file. So we can have a .emacs file, or the way I'm going to do it is in init.el. So what I'm going to do to get to that file is I'm going to do Control-X-D, and that's going to prompt me for my .ed directory. You see this down below. I'm going to hit enter, and then I can move up and down with N and P. So I'm going to go down to .emacs.d. Now, when you first open Emacs, it creates that .emacs.d. If you don't open it and you have your Git, your configuration stored on Git, you could download that, rename it .emacs.d, and then when it fires up, it'll have your configuration. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. We see we don't have an init.el. So to create a file, you could go up here and use the menu bar, but one of the advantages of Emacs is you can have all these keyboard key chords, shortcuts where you don't have to use the mouse. And believe me, it helps not using the mouse when you're on the computer all the time. It can save your wrists. So I'm going to do Control-X, Control-F, and that's going to prompt this find file, and that's how I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to type init.el. Okay, now we're open in the init.el. Now, Emacs is a little bit different in that we have to do Control-Y to paste. So I'm going to go Control-Y to paste, and then Alt-X, I can check to make sure that command's right with this command down here. So I did Alt-X, and then I type eval-buffer. Okay, and so that's the first thing. Okay, next thing, I want to get my font a little bit bigger, especially for this video. So let's do change font Emacs. Let's search for that. Okay, now I can do it in the menu, but I want to do it in my initial config file. All right, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to make a couple changes here. So I'm going to paste this in here. I'm going to go back, and instead of default T, I'm going to do default nil. And then instead of font, I'm going to put in quotes my font and then my font size. So I'm going to do monospace -12. And now I'm going to do eval the buffer. And you notice that, wow, okay, cool. Now my font is bigger. Okay. Next thing, I want to start up with a full screen. That's what I like. All right, so let's do full screen on startup Emacs. Okay, and we'll go down here, and we'll see this. This is an answer from Stack Exchange. So this is what you do. You Google, and you figure out how to do this stuff. I'm going to copy this, okay? And I'm going to go right here and paste it. And Control-X, Control-S to save. Now, the one thing about this is you notice once I changed the font, it kind of raised it up a little bit. So I do have to use the mouse a little bit. I'm going to do eval buffer. And so there were no errors, but it didn't jump it. So I'm actually going to do Control-X, Control-C to quit out. And now I'm going to start it again. And you should see it come to full screen. And so now it opens with full screen. So that's nice. All right. So I'm going to do Control-X, D, and then Enter to get back to my dear Ed, and then do N to get down to emacs.d. and N to get down to init.el. And so now I'm back to this. Now to move in this file up and down, I want to do Control-N or Control-P. And then to get to an end of a line, I'll do Control-E. The beginning line is Control-A. All right. So now I want to get rid of all these toolbars and menu bars. So let's search for that. Get rid of toolbars and menu bars, Emacs. Because you can get them back, and I'll show you that in a moment too. All right, so let's see. Disabling this, we're going to put in a few different lines. All right, so we're going to put in menu bar mode -1, so that'll get rid of the menu bar. So Control-Y. We also can get rid of the scroll bar with toggle scroll bar -1. I want to get rid of that. And we can also get rid of the toolbar with toolbar mode -1. Okay, Control-X, Control-S to save it, Alt-X, then eval buffer. And you'll see that that stuff has gone away. Now let's say I wanted to get the menu bar back. Well, I could do Alt-X and then type in toggle menu bar mode. And you see the menu bar comes back, and you can do the, with the toolbar and all that kind of stuff. Same thing. To get rid of it again, I just I hit the up arrow, and it gives me the suggestion, toggle menu bar mode from frame. I did it, and now I've got kind of a nice screen where I can start to write on. All right. So now I want to get some packages. I've got my font set. I've got it opening it up. Let's get some packages. Okay. So I want to use Melpa, because that's probably the easiest way to install a lot of packages. So I'm going to go to Melpa here, and stands for Milky Postman's Emacs Lisp Package Archive. Cool. Now I'm going to go to Get Started here, and I'm going to copy this top line because I want to use Melpa. If you want to use Melpa stable, you can, the way you comment in an init.el file is this double semicolon. You could copy this instead of the melpa.org. But I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go back here and do Control Y. Oops, I didn't copy it. So copy that, Control C, Control Y to paste that. And then I also need the package initialize. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. Now you could install this by going and searching, and I think requiring packages and getting your modes. The other way you can install packages is, well, let's do Control X, Control S, and then Alt X to eval the buffer, and then Alt X, and we're going to type package list packages. Okay, and then Alt X, just to make sure. I want to do an Alt X. Oh, it's going to take a moment. It's still loading the package menu, so that's going to take a moment. And it gives me the message package refresh done. Okay, so I want to do package install. And for writing, one of the packages that I want to install is Olivetti mode. So I'm going to look for the package, or install the package Olivetti. Okay, so now I've got Olivetti installed. Another way you can search for packages is just to go up and down the packages here, then click on them, and then it'll prompt you to install, and you can click on install that way. Okay, so now let's say we wanted to show you what Olivetti does. Okay, so I'm going to go to, actually, let me just do Control XD to get to my DRED directory, go up a directory. To create a new directory, let's create a new directory called notes. I'm going to do the plus sign, so shift and the plus equal button. And it's going to prompt me to create a directory below. I can create a directory, let's call it notes. So we're going to go in there. I can create a file, Control X, Control F. Let's do notes.org for an org file. Okay, so now my cursor is over here. So I could just start typing, this is an org file. And that works fine. But let's say I want it focused down the center of my screen. I can do Alt X, Olivetti mode. And notice now it's focused down the center of a screen, so you can really focus on your writing. I think this is a great tool for doing that. Okay, now let's say, let's just save that quickly. Okay, and maybe we'll come back to it. I'm going to do Alt X, and then let's do package list packages to get a refresher of my packages. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, now let's say I didn't want the white theme. I wanted a dark theme. I can search for multiple themes. One thing I'm thinking of is the Sublime Themes, specifically Dorsey, the Dorsey theme. The reason why I installed the Dorsey theme is that when I do a social media post on that I'm using Emacs, I will hashtag Dorsey and therefore hopefully get more clicks. So it's very important. So what I need to do is type in package install, okay, and then I want to install Sublime Themes. Okay, so now if I go, I can do Alt X and then customize themes. And I can go down and I see, oh, Dorsey. Okay, I'll be able to hashtag this when I post this on Twitter, hashtag Dorsey, and therefore hopefully get more tweets and retweets. It's important. Okay, so now I'm going to hit enter, and yes, I want to treat it as safe. Okay, so now I've got the Dorsey theme. All right, let's go back to my file with DRED. So Control X D. And go back to my notes. And so once I have this open, I don't have it necessarily. The DRED won't necessarily update. You have to type G and then it updates. So I see that file I created, notes.org. I can go there. I've got this nice black and white theme on a Chromebook. If I want to go full screen, don't want to see the top bar, there you go. I've got my status bar below. Again, the hashtag Dorsey theme. And I can start writing my document. Okay, now let me show you something. Let's go do Control X, Control C, and quit out. So Control X, Control C. Okay, so now let's restart it. Oh no, it's a white background. Where did hashtag Dorsey go? Okay, so here's one of the things. So let's just search Sublime Themes Emacs. So in our init.el, if we want to start up with a hashtag Dorsey theme, what we need to do is we need to go and take a look at the documentation. And, if we install this manually, we put it in a themes folder. I use the package, but I need to have this load theme. Now they want Hickey. I don't know if I could hashtag that one as good. We can try it. Let's try Hickey. Now you want this T at the end because otherwise every time you start off it's going to ask you, is the theme safe? Is the theme safe? You want the T. So don't, Let's try Hickey. I don't know how much that will give me in hashtags. All right, so we're going to go, note on that to get to dear ed, you can also do Alt-X and type dear ed. I like Control-X-D and then just enter, but that's another way to get to it. So we're going to go to emacs.d, go to init.el, and then just go to the bottom of the document. I did that with Alt-Shift and period, so Alt-arrow key. To get to the bottom, I can do Alt-Shift, comma to get to the top. Alt-Shift period to get to the bottom. Okay, so let's paste this in. So, oops, that's not what I wanted. So load theme Hickey, Control-C to copy it. Okay, so now it's going to give me this Hickey theme. I typically want hashtag Dorsey. So I'm going to do Control-X, Control-C to get out of there. And then I'm going to open this. And, that's kind of a cool theme, the Hickey theme. But, again, I don't know if it has the same hashtag power. So I'll do Control-X-D. And then I will go here to emacs.d to my init.el. And, on pure appearance alone, I might like this theme better than the other one. But, again, hashtag power. So we're going to type in Dorsey without the hashtag. So Dorsey. And Control-X, Control-S, save it, Control-X, Control-C to get out of there. Then open it up. Okay, and now we've got the Dorsey theme. Okay, so again, if I do Alt-X, type dear ed to get that way, into dear ed that way, I can go down to my notes. You can use your arrow keys here too. I do that sometimes like I was doing then. Although you can't see what I'm doing. This is an org file. Let's turn on Olivetti mode. It actually, this theme actually works really well with org mode, actually, in all seriousness. I like the just, that it's basically, boom, black and white. Can't go wrong. So this is a good writing environment. You can write out your org file. I'll include that other video in the description below on using the org mode a little bit. I'm continuing to explore it. I hope you find it interesting. And thanks for staying with me with my joking about the theme. And if you like the videos like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It will really help the channel grow. You can also follow me on GitHub. That's another way to support the channel. And I also include, when I create worksheets using C programming, that kind of stuff, I include links to my Teacher by Teachers. You could go there and support me in that way as well. But any support is great support, so thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope this video helped you learn a little bit more about Emacs. Thanks for watching.